Japan, we shouldn't lose sight of the recent events that even occurred in the United States. In the last 4 months, we've had flooding at Fort Calhoun, earthquake near North Anna, Hurricane Irene, Tropical Storm Lee. And these reemphasize the importance of ensuring that the U.S. nuclear power plants are protected from all external hazards. I'd like to acknowledge the work of the near-term task force and to publicly state that it's quite clear that the work that we have been involved with has built off of the very good work by the task team that was led by Charlie Miller. The paper that we provided followed the Commission's direction in identifying those near-term task force recommendations that we believe can be initiated in part or in whole without delay. The staff's recommendations were developed by senior management representing the major NRC program offices and the regional offices who deliberated and considered the wide range of regulatory tools available to the staff. The staff's independent conclusion agrees with the near-term task force that there's no imminent risk to public health and safety from continued operation and continued licensing activities for U.S. nuclear power plants. We did identify a subset of the near-term task force recommendations that we believe have the greatest potential for safety enhancements in the near term and can be initiated without delay. The staff's paper benefited greatly from the external stakeholders' input. As you witnessed this morning, there's a wide range of views, and they are all very well founded and appreciated. The staff held a public meeting and received written comments. And the stakeholders, I believe, agreed in concept with the fundamentals of the recommendations that were discussed at the meeting and expressed a desire for continued stakeholder involvement in the regulatory processes that go forward. As such, the staff's recommendations are focused on maximizing the potential for future stakeholder engagement whenever possible. Just note that the next paper is scheduled to be issued on October 3rd. In that paper, we will be providing a prioritization of the near-term task force recommendations, including regulatory actions to be taken, implementation challenges, and a schedule with milestones. It'll be important as we move forward that the actions resulting from the events in Japan be integrated with the full range of ongoing and emerging nuclear safety activities of both the operators and the NRC, and that'll be quite a challenge for us to do that integration in an informed manner. So with that, I will turn the presentation over to Marty.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I just wanted to recognize that at the table with us today we have Eric Leeds, our Director of Nuclear Reactor Regulation, and Jim Wiggins, the Director of our Office of NSER, but they're here today as members of the steering committee, and also behind me in the well are other members of the steering committee. They're the people that helped us develop the paper that we presented to you on Friday. What I want to do is go through the slide deck as quickly as I possibly can and then open up the opportunity for you to ask us questions. So starting on slide 2, just a refresher that the task force, the near-term task force, completed its work, provided its report to you on July 12th, and subsequently on July 19th we had a commission meeting with Charlie Miller and the task force members. As directed by the Commission, now the staff has engaged in a review of those recommendations to determine what are the appropriate next steps. And what we provided to you on Friday was the staff's assessment of those actions that we think we can initiate in the near term. So if we go to slide 3, the agenda, basically we'll talk a little bit about our review of the near-term task force report and our staff recommendations around that report. Slide 4, just a summary of what Bill just mentioned, that the task force found that there was similar events or sequence of events very unlikely to occur in the United States. The existing mitigation measures and features that are at the U.S. nuclear power plants today reduce the likelihood of core damage. And the staff has independently assessed it and concluded that there's no imminent risk from continued operation and licensing activities. The near-term task force report provided 12 overarching recommendations and looked at accidents beyond the design basis from a defense in-depth perspective, looking at ensuring accidents don't occur, mitigation of accidents that do occur, and ensuring preparedness for emergency situations. On slide 5, it's just a refresher as direction coming out of the near-term task force report. The Commission asked us to provide a number of products. The first was a charter for how we would proceed to manage the work moving forward, and the staff has provided that charter to the Commission. The second piece was the recommendations that could be initiated without undue delay. That paper was provided to you on Friday. We owe the prioritization now of the rest of the recommendations, as Bill just mentioned. We'll provide that paper to you on October 3rd. And then with respect to recommendation 1, the long-term review of how we're going to deal with severe accidents, how we might restructure Part 50 or our regulations, that's due, recommendations are due to you in 18 months. Slide 6, just a summary. As directed by the Commission, we provided a notation paper, vote paper on Friday that makes recommendations on what items in the staff's judgment can and should be implemented in part or in whole without delay. We looked and focused primarily on 6 areas, recommendations 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9, as we did our assessment. And as stated in our paper, we believe that all of the near-term task force overarching recommendations, so all 12, if adopted, would enhance safety, and the staff agrees with moving forward on each of those recommendations. So as we developed our recommendations in the near term, we focused on the 6, and that should not be misinterpreted by anyone that we're not interested in the others as well. Some of them were longer-term recommendations, and as I just mentioned, recommendation 1, the Commission asked us to look at that in longer term, look at that over 18 months.